Are younger voters, especially younger Democratic voters, frustrated with Joe Biden and Democratic leadership, or am I making it up? Well, let's find out. We're going to talk to Kyla Frank. She's the National Student Organizing Manager for Unpack, and that's an interesting pack. Kyla, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Well, it looks like some of you guys were so frustrated you went on a hunger strike for voting rights. So tell us who went on the hunger strike and what happened with it.
Yeah, most definitely. And so we actually went on 2 hunger strikes. The first one happened in December, and we launched on December 6th and went on to hunger strike for 15 days. And that was with young people in Arizona. And when we moved to DC nationally, the second hunger strike we went on was with more young people and also faith leaders. We were also joined by over 100 people nationally doing solidarity hunger strikes alongside of us.
Yes, I don't have to ask if it worked. It didn't. It's not because you aren't wonderful and went through so much. And I know that, for example, Professor Larry Lessig was involved in those hunger strikes from Harvard. He's the godfather of getting money out of politics. He's a wonderful guy. Wrote part of the voting rights bill, and he couldn't stop gushing about it. He thought it was a wonderful experience, and you guys re-energized him. And then there's all the faith leaders that you referred to who've also been on the show and have said wonderful things. But yet, the people who control power were entirely unmoved. So, well, let me start it this way, that line of questioning. So, Manchin and Sinema blocked reforming the filibuster, which means that you couldn't get the voting rights bill. But it appeared to me that Pelosi, Schumer, and Biden barely did anything to move them. Am I the crazy one, or was the perception of the people who participated in those hunger strikes that Democratic leadership didn't do much?
I definitely hold some of those same or similar sentiments. That's exactly why we went on the second hunger strike, is because we saw that Biden and Schumer, they had made commitments, which is why we suspended the first strike, but there was no movement being made on making sure that the bill finished and went across the finish line. And so it is extremely frustrating for everyone who participated to see that this bill failed. And it's not because of all the senators, 48 senators did vote yes on it, but it is hard because the Democratic Party has promised so much and has delivered barely anything. And again, corruption runs on both sides of the political aisle. And so the political will from the Democratic Party to get this bill passed was just not there, clearly because they could not bring Manchin and Sinema to the side on voting yes.
Yeah, none of them did anything. To be fair, the progressives have been fighting super hard to do filibuster reform, so you leave the Just Democrats out of it. But those old school leaders like Clyburn and Hakeem Jeffries and Adam Schiff, 0, 0, 0, didn't lift a finger, didn't care. The minute their donors say something, though, all of a sudden they jump super high. So, Kyla, I'll ask a broad question, then I want to come back to the hunger strike. What's your sense? I mean, you're the National Student Organizing Manager, right? What's your sense of how pissed students and young people are about the Democratic Party?
We are extremely pissed. Again, we've been living in a broken system our entire lives, and we'll never see a pathway to the policies that we care about, like ending the student debt crisis, having healthcare that's affordable and accessible, making sure that our climate doesn't, and the environment around us doesn't burn up. So it's extremely frustrating to see that the Democratic Party has yet again failed to deliver on the very promises that they gave to us when they were campaigning during the 2020 elections.
Yeah, because people in Washington, they're so corrupt and they're so used to the establishment that when I tell them that young progressives are outraged at the Democratic Party, they don't believe me. They think I'm lying. But guest after guest after guest says the same thing, right? And by the way, now finally, for the first time, black folks are starting to get mad at the Democratic Party. So I had the same faith leaders, Reverend Green, who runs the church in Harlem, saying, what, you want me to get up in front of my pulpit and tell people the Democratic Party is going to deliver? He was part of the hunger strike. Well, they didn't deliver. So no, and by the way, guys, none of this is to say that you should go vote for Republicans or right-wingers or fascists, right? Hell no, right? But let's all find a thing called a primary and get right in the middle of it and vote against every stupid Democratic incumbent that never wants to change and never wants to deliver on their promises. So, all right, but Kyla, the moment when you guys realized the second hunger strike wasn't gonna work, and the first one where they made you promises so you would stop doing the hunger strike, those promises were fake, they weren't gonna deliver on them, and that they instantly folded the minute Manchin and Sinema said no. How did that feel? I don't know if you were in the room, but what do you then instantly give up the hunger strike? How crestfallen are people? What happened?
For me, at least, I was definitely completely depleted when we saw the news from the vote. We had young people, me myself, put our very health and lives on the line to just stress the urgency of having democracy reform made in this country. The urgency that young people are feeling as our democracy crumbles around us. Again, we inherited a broken system. And so it was frustrating, it was angering, it was disappointing to see, because again, like, these are not just young people who have just magically went on a strike just for no reason. These are young people who adamantly care about our futures and the present that we live in right now. And so again, the Democratic Party needs to stand up and needs to realize that young people will not continue to vote for them and call them the party of democracy if they're not even willing to pass a comprehensive common sense bill. So
let me ask you, do young people have a sense of why the Democrats never deliver?
It's corruption. Dark money has been plaguing our democracy since, honestly, the beginning of America. And so young people, we're not stupid. We understand exactly what's happening and what's going on, and it's been going on for decades. And so again, it's disappointing that the Democratic Party definitely emphasized that they want to bring more young people into the fold, but they're not really doing a good job and not delivering on any of the promises they made to us as young people. Again, we are the generation that's going to be voting for the Democratic Party time and time again. Again, young people were the catalyst for Joe Biden winning in 2020. And so again, young people will not turn out. I've heard and talked to young people who said they will not turn out for the Democratic Party or any party in that matter unless they fight for meaningful, comprehensive democracy reform. And unfortunately, they did not fight hard enough for it.
Well, Kyla, ding, 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 we have a winner. See, that's why I didn't want to say it ahead of time, because I suspected that you were going to say the same thing. Corruption. Of course it's the corruption. And Kyla, aren't you guys tired of, or maybe you don't even see mainstream media, I don't know, because cable news is so ancient. I don't know if any young person actually watches it anymore. But aren't you tired of mainstream media, including all the way through New York Times, pretending that there isn't corruption in politics, pretending that Manchin and Sinema didn't vote based on their donors, but voted out of principle?
Definitely. Since March of last year, we were organizing young people across this country to get this bill passed, having them call their senators, email them, have social media posts, actually meet with over 20 Senate offices. We did everything right. And then we escalated to a hunger strike. We put our bodies on the line. We got arrested. None of that was enough. And it signals to us as young people that there are no systems of accountability to hold our elected officials to the standard that they themselves put on representing us. And so again, the Democratic Party needs to take a long, hard look at themselves and the policies that they support and do not pass, and re-examine some things, because they will not have the same power that they had in 2020 elections when it came to young people supporting them.
Yeah, so news to mainstream media and establishment Democrats. Nobody's buying your BS anymore, okay? In the old days, all we had was mainstream media, and they would lie and lie and lie and tell us the Democratic leadership was so wonderful when they passed nothing. They called Nancy Pelosi a master legislator 1 billion times when she's barely passed anything her entire career. So she said she was gonna do voting rights. She said she was gonna do $15 minimum wage. She said she was gonna do all these things. And it's not just on her, it's on Schumer, it's on Hoyer, it's on Biden, it's on all of them. They didn't do any of it. And Kyla, I guarantee you, after the next election, you know who they're gonna blame? They're not gonna look in the mirror. They're not gonna blame themselves. They're not gonna blame their donors. They're gonna blame you. Okay, they're gonna say not enough young people showed up to vote, not enough progressives showed up to vote. They cost us the election. It's their fault. And when they say that, which is an absolute guarantee, write it down in stone. The Democrats will say it, and almost everyone in media will say it. When they say that, what's gonna be your reaction?
I'm gonna say young people are willing, and again, put everything on the line to make sure that the Democratic Party had everything they needed to make the moves to get this bill passed and to get the policies that young people are desperately calling and asking for. So again, we will not turn out for you all. We will not go out and vote for you all unless you show us that you actually care about our voices being heard. Again, we were on the ground all of last year doing the work that you told us to do, and you still did not deliver. That's very disappointing. And it shows that you care more about your dark money donors than you care about the people who put you in the office in the first place.
That right there, ladies and gentlemen, was truth. All right, one last thing, Kyla. We've been talking about your PAC. What is Unpack?
Yes, so Unpack is an organization of young people and students organizing for democracy reform. Last year, our mission was to get the Freedom to Vote John R. Lewis Act passed. We do that by educating young people to make the connections between the issues that they care about and democracy reform. And then we take that raised awareness and organize them to pressure our elected officials to do their actual jobs. Right now, we are taking a break. Again, we are all completely exhausted and depleted from the hunger strike. But make no mistake, we will be back. We will have a plan to empower young people to change this country and to get meaningful democracy reform.
Love it. It's un-pack.org, and we'll always have the link down below if you're watching later on YouTube or Facebook, so you can just click on it and check out their organization. Kyla, Frank, you're brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.